Rooster Creek Quilting in Holt Summit, Missouri is your one-stop shop for all your quilting needs and more. Their specialties include great customer rapport to assist you with finding that perfect fabric, notion, pattern, pre-cuts, and embroidery supplies. Rooster Creek also offers professional long-arm quilting services and classes and much more. Don't wait for the rooster to crow. Visit Rooster Creek Quilting at Holt Summit Plaza, Holt Summit, Missouri. It's a great place to go for all your quilting needs.
Hello once again, and welcome to Quilting Inside and Out here at JCTV in Jefferson City, Missouri. This is where you get the scoop on the world of quilting. Sponsored by Rooster Creek Company of Holt Summit, Missouri. Today is October 10th, and we are coming to you from the capital city of Missouri. That's Jefferson City, Missouri. I'm your host, Rick Jey, with a great show today filled with two great guests who have some really super information to share with you and their experiences that involve around their world of quilting. In the first half hour of the show, we meet Miss Donna Felsheim of Holt Summit, Missouri, who will share with you her experience as a quilter and her association with the Rooster Creek Quilt Guild of Holt Summit. In the second half hour, we visit with Miss Madeline Gieselman of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, who will share with you her experiences as a dedicated quilter and dedication to different organizations involved around the world of quilting. So we'll invite you into the Missouri State Quilt Guild retreat with an actual field taping that'll be taped in a few days. As part of the show. So let's get started. I'd like to now, if you would, join me in welcoming Miss Donna Felsheim of Holt Summit, Missouri. It's great to have you here on the guest. I've been looking forward to it for so long. Super to have you here at Quilting Inside and Out.
Well, thank you, but the only correction I have there is I'm actually on a small hobby farm outside of New Bloomfield, Missouri.
Bloomfield,
yes.
Up around what is it, Channel 13, is it New Bloomfield?
Yes, Channel 13's not horribly far from me.
Oh,
we have
great.
a few acres and we have a hobby farm.
Excellent. Well, that sounds super. You'll have to explain more of that. I understand I've been hearing great things about, great stories, shall we say, from you about the farm and what takes place. But let's go ahead first, though, if we may, Donna, and if I may call you by your first name all these years. I've been getting by with it. So please tell us a little bit about you and those highlights of your life and that best describe Donna Felsheim.
Well, I was born in Kansas on the Missouri River.
Really?
Lived in South Dakota on the Missouri River and moved to back to Jefferson City on the Missouri River. So I guess you'd say I'm a river rat.
A river rat. Well, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. Moved to Missouri in 1952. My father worked for the Missouri Pacific Railroad, record foreman, nightmarish job.
I bet.
And I lived there till I was 42, I think, and I married a military man.
I see.
And we lived in Europe for 3 years, and then we went to Texas and South Dakota and New York, and he passed away in 1987 in Buffalo, New York, and that's when I moved back to Missouri because my mother was here and my sister, and
that's New Bloomfield.
Yes, yeah, that's when I bought the farm, was in New Bloomfield.
and plant your heels
Yeah.
and what have you on the farm, I guess. So, great. Is there anyone that you would like to say a shout out to, family or friends that are special to you?
Oh, Mike and Teresa Cuno at Rooster Creek and all the people that work there and the Quilt Guild members.
That's like a family.
Yes, we are.
That-
We're like one
it's-
big family.
And if you will ever join, take time to visit the Rooster Creek facility there in Holt Summit, you will see and feel the family feeling that you do feel from your visit. Well, Donna, can you share with us when and how you were first inspired to become a quilter?
I retired from Fulton State Hospital in 2004. Let's put it this way, I supposedly retired. They needed help desperately, so I worked full-time for another 10 years
I see.
after I retired.
Uh-huh.
And that was kind of when I decided that I was going to start doing some quilting. I had a really good friend, Vita, who helped me a lot with my quilting skills. That was kind of the beginning.
Was she now an older mentor that, like we associate so much with a grandmother image
Yeah.
or a mother image?
No, she's only a couple of years older than I am.
I see.
But I had been a seamstress all of her life.
Ah,
And she did quilting. My mother had been a seamstress all her life, made all of my clothes. But I didn't really have the patience for that when I was younger. I was always horseback riding,
I see.
always.
Always.
If it was a day off, I was on a horse
Oh,
somewhere.
super.
Yeah.
I can identify with that.
Yeah.
I had horses for a while. Now, your mother, what was your maiden name? So we'll let people
Merritt,
Merritt
Merritt,
of Bloomfield, Missouri.
Well, actually, they were from Jefferson City. We
I
moved here
see.
in 1952 from
Super.
Kansas.
Oh.
And Atchison, Kansas, there's a St. Benedictine college there, I believe.
I see.
And Amelia Earhart was from there.
That's where I associate Amelia Earhart. I knew there's some history in Atchison, Kansas.
Yeah.
And of course, there was a song out of in the 50s talked about the Atchison, the Santa Fe. And,
Atchison, Topeka, and Santa
and the
Fe.
Santa Fe,
My
yes.
dad started out on steam engines when he was 14 years old.
Oh, my. Out of Atchison?
Out of yes. The roundhouse was between us and the school. I had to go across a big wooden bridge to go to the school. And then, of course, we moved to Missouri, and it was a whole lot different down here.
Well, Ms. Felsheim, here on Quilting Inside and Out, I always like to ask the question how you would identify yourself then as a quilter. We narrow it down to a few nouns and one verb. The nouns seem to reveal that there are quite a few different skills involved as a piecer, as a cutter, as an ironer, as a stitcher, as a tyer, where we have one verb, which would be called a quilter. Although we identify as a quilter, there is an extension, verbalization, I guess, as a quilter running a machine or freehand, and even quilting design used to be hand-stitched, I understand. So how would you identify? Do you do them all?
Pretty much. I pick out a design and try new designs and put them together, and that's piecing. Right. And then they've shown us how to do some machine quilting on our little domestic machines.
Yes, freehand, I think they call that.
Yeah. And free motion.
Free motion. I think Linda Bertine teaches class.
Yes, I've been in her class. She teaches lots of good things. She also does some other things, like they painted on purses at the retreat they just had.
Oh, I see.
Which was, I didn't get to attend, but it was really, I think everybody had a lot of fun.
Linda will be back with us as a co-host in the future. We sure enjoyed having her. She's really comes across well on the air and to our guests and makes them feel right at home.
Yeah, Linda's very special. But all the people that come to Rooster Creek are special.
That's true.
I often say, I have a prayer that I say every morning.
Oh, yeah.
Please, Lord, keep Rooster Creek open and north of the river.
Well, that's an endorsement. And north of the river,
Yeah.
so you don't, if the creeks rise too high, you can't
Right.
get across.
Right.
Bloomfield there.
Yeah, New Bloomfield,
I
yeah.
can identify with that. Well, everyone has their favorite piece of work that they call their favorites. And sometimes we surprise ourselves with our work. I know my brush work, I do a painting, all of a sudden, wow, how did that happen? So can you describe and share with our viewers that one quilt that really, or maybe a second, that really has special meaning to you?
I really think it's the first quilt that I ever made.
I see.
It's called the Rail Fence.
Oh, yes.
And my friend and I picked out the material, and she made a couple of suggestions that we put a stripe in, and then another particular one that, and when she suggested them, I was very skeptical. But once I got them put together and the finished piece was there, it's probably my favorite.
And I agree, that rail fence is just really impressive once it, especially in brighter colors of fabric. My sister has made a quilt in that respect. I've seen quite a few at the quilt shows in my travels.
Right.
So I can agree, but there's so many great designs,
Oh, yeah.
Great patterns, and they keep coming up with actually new. And so really enjoy going to the quilt shows and taking a peek. When we come back the second half hour, we're going to get into more detail as far as these different types of patterns and designs, layouts and stuff. So, well, that's more to come. Well, Donna, you've been a member of the Rooster Creek Guild for a few years. Can you give us an insight to your relationship with Rooster Creek Quilt Guild? You seem to pretty well give an endorsement, but I know they're really special to you. And I know it's a great atmosphere, like a family atmosphere, but I guess there's a lot of glue that holds it together. Can you, what is the glue that keeps Rooster Creek Company and the Guild together?
I think it's the camaraderie of everyone that's there. Their attitudes are fantastic. It's a very relaxed guild.
And you don't have just one star.
No, that's true. We don't have just one.
One star. You have all sharing each other's work and complimenting.
We have a very large guild.
And how many members are there now?
Last count, I thought they said over 80, but now I won't stand on a stack.
And it has grown in the past year or so.
Oh, yeah, we started
doing the show here at Quilting Inside and Out, and reaching many viewers through that source. So.
Rooster Creek has a way of making everybody feel at home, and I think that's a lot of it. Where else can you go and have sewing machines furnished for you and everybody, friends visiting and helping each other?
I see, I understand. Well, after the break, Donna, we'll share with you a new project that the Rooster Creek Company Quilt Guild actually members are now involved with. It's called Block of the Month, and actually called the Disappearing Pinwheel. And there'll be more that we'll discuss, and actually what is really happening with Rooster Creek Quilt Guild and up on Rooster Creek and Holt Summit. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this.
Rooster Creek Quilting in Holt Summit, Missouri is your one-stop shop for all your quilting needs and more. Their specialties include great customer rapport to assist you with finding that perfect fabric, notion, pattern, pre-cuts, and embroidery supplies. Rooster Creek also offers professional long-arm quilting services and classes and much more. Don't wait for the rooster to crow. Visit Rooster Creek Quilting at Holt Summit Plaza, Holt Summit, Missouri. It's a great place to go for all your quilting needs.
And so the king ordered his men into battle, And even though he was no longer acting in their best interest, they followed obediently. But what if they didn't? What if they just refused? What if selfish leaders got no support? What if people had the courage to stand up when something wasn't right? What if the government didn't just serve a lucky few? What if it was designed and run for all the people, no matter what race, color, or creed? What if we didn't put up with anything less? What if?
Welcome back to Quilting Inside and Out. I'm your host, Rick Jey, and we continue our discussion chat with Ms. Donna Felsheim of New Bloomfield, Missouri, who has the latest scoop on what's really happening at the Rooster Creek Quilt Guild in Holt Summit, Missouri. Well, Donna, I promised our viewers you would share with them exactly what the Rooster Creek Quilt Guild is up to these days. So can you elaborate a little bit on what's really going on there? What happens on a monthly basis, I guess you could say.
Last meeting, we had a couple of work days, and we kind of shut down the projects till after the holidays. But we did a lot of pillowcases for Missouri University and other hospitals for the children that come in for treatment of any kind of illness. Mm-hmm. We make baby blankets for the neonatal intensive care unit.
Yes, I see.
Some of those little blankets are only about 18 inches by 18 inches, which you just can't imagine wrapping a baby in that, but they come that small sometimes.
Oh, I see. So.
And then we make isolette covers that we put over the isolettes, which keeps the warmth in for them.
Ah, I see. Keeps the warmth to the baby.
We have a Care Bear project made from Build-A-Bear Workshop. They send us little labels. Yes. We make the bears and send the bears back to California.
So part of the Build-A-Bear project.
Yeah, right.
I've seen that.
And they're for children that are traumatized or in accidents or ill.
Yes.
Lots of reasons that they would get a bear.
Right. Something to talk about, so they can reveal exactly what happened to them, maybe. So that's really a good tool.
Yeah. And then we do cancer hats for patients who have cancer. Little lap robes for the senior citizens. I call them, they have walkers and then the little walker bags that you can put a book in and whatever.
Yeah. Oh, great.
For them to take
and now how about Quilts of Valor?
We have not joined that program. There were some things that needed to be ironed out with that program, so maybe one of these days we'll be able to join that. We have a person who has done a Quilt of Valor and given it away at New Bloomfield High School on Veterans Day for several years now. They invite the veterans in, their name goes in a hat, and whoever gets drawn out wins that particular quilt.
Awesome. How about Cases for Smiles? I believe
Yes,
it is,
we've
the
done lots of
program,
pillowcases.
I was trying to think of our contact. She's been on the program.
Yes, Ginger.
And so that's a great project to be involved in. Too.
And pillowcases are so easy to make. If you've never sewn, you could even make a pillowcase.
I see.
Come out to Rooster Creek and we'll help you make a pillowcase if you want to donate.
Great.
Right now, we have a raffle going on
I see.
and the money will go to the food pantry in Holt Summit. They can buy more with the money than we can buy with the money. So we give them the money.
Excellent.
The chances on the quilt are $1 a piece or 6 for $5. Come into the Rooster Creek anytime.
Rooster Creek store.
And yes,
Fabric
and buy a chance on the
chance.
quilt.
And you draw that, when's the drawing for that?
I believe it's November the 15th.
So it's,
I'm thinking,
so,
because they're wanting to get as much money to them for Thanksgiving and Christmas
and
as they can.
holidays. So you want to make sure you get up to Rooster Creek, get a chance, and help out those in need. Another way to help those in need.
Yeah. Then we started a project of a block of the month with the Guild. We
Yes,
sell
now
them a block, two 10-inch blocks. I'll be ahead. And they're sewed together, and then they're cut apart, and the money that we charge them $1. Each quilt, each member of the Guild pays $1 for it.
Well, I know we want to talk about that in a second. Before we get lose track here, can you give us the dates that you meet and how to become a member? And
The third Wednesday of the month at 10 a.m. at Rooster Creek. You can join anytime. You can come to one of those meetings and join. We also have a meeting on the next Thursday, which from 6 to 8. That way people who work can actually come and be a part of the group too.
oh, so you have a split meeting?
Yes.
Oh, excellent.
We just kind of rehash what went on at the daytime meeting. We have a show and tell at each one of the meetings. And, you know, some suggestions.
Well, you had a super quilt show this past summer.
Yes, we did.
And I see so much dedication from different members who have been here on the program talking about Rooster Creek Quilt Show. I understand you basically have a president, a vice president, the nucleus for a club organizational structure, and then plenty of different chairmen, I guess, for different events.
Yes, they're really not called president and vice president.
Oh, they're not?
No.
I see.
They're just they kind of take charge and help us get things going.
Well, that's a
And
nice approach.
Yeah, it saves from a lot of hard feelings sometimes.
Oh, yes, that's
You know,
exactly what I was thinking. That
Yeah.
way no one is in a hierarchy. Again, no one is any more a star than the other
Right,
person.
and if we have a problem, we turn to Michael and Teresa
Yes.
for advisement,
Sure.
and they're super people.
Well, now we started a second ago about this new project using a Block of the Month platform. Now, is this something new, this Block of the Month, or is this something that happens all the time? You have a Block of the Month every month?
Yes and no.
I see.
They offer classes for certain blocks, and you can go every Saturday for a year, or one Saturday a month for a year to do those blocks. This one is strictly for the Guild. We charge them $1 for two 10-inch pieces of material, and they sew them together, and then they cut them diagonally twice, and then
So
sew
you have
them back together.
You have a white piece of cloth, and you have a purple lavender piece, and they are sewn together.
And then you cut them across diagonally.
Making diagonal cuts.
Yeah.
You want to hold up a piece here to kind of show how that pieces are cut diagonally. Okay, now what we're looking at is actually the disappearing pinwheel, a block that the guild members are learning to complete. I understand this can be not only as a disappearing pinwheel, it could go into like 12, 13 different patterns that could be made from this one cut.
You know, once you cut it up into the pin and sew it back as a pinwheel, then you cut it up again, and you end up with 9 5-inch squares, basically.
Ah, I see.
And then you can, the different way that you turn those squares is the type of block that you make.
And those, by name, could be?
This month we're making, for October when they come, it's called the shoe fly or the churn dash.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then the one that I'm hoping that we're going to do for the month of November will be what they call a friendship star.
Excellent.
But you start out with the same exact pieces cut just the same way.
Well, that really might solve some questions or answer some questions of you that are looking into getting involved. So you take one layout, one cut here, and when you recut them, then they can make 12 to 13 different patterns that you sew together as the block to finally make into your quilt top. Now, you have other designs here,
right,
if you want to hold those up. And
this one is called the disappearing hourglass.
Oh, I see.
So you kind of start out the same way that you start out with the disappearing pinwheel. You just sew it together a little differently, and then you cut it up again, and then you put it back together, and you can see the star here.
Yes, I can see the star. Isn't that interesting?
So that's another
Very
one
nice.
that's an easy, it looks like you worked very, very hard.
Intricate.
But it's really not that difficult. And then I like to play around with different things. I get up on YouTube and stuff, and I learn how to do different.
YouTube is an
This is called a windmill or a pinwheel, and you can leave the little flappies loose, which babies like to play with them.
Yes. Oh, excellent. So it gives the baby something to play with as they're trying to get to their nap.
Right.
Excellent.
Miss Teresa said she didn't know how difficult that might be to quilt because you'd have to raise these up to quilt underneath.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Right.
Awesome. That's an awesome piece.
I kind of like to do that, and it's fun.
Yes, I can see where it's fun, especially getting together as a group to be motivated. That's what's great about being with a club. Those around you motivate you and answer your questions when you get stuck on a. So it's really it's a great atmosphere. So I recommend you do visit Rooster Creek or the guild next closest to you. Do not be afraid to go visit and see what's really up. Get the scoop, in other words. Well, Donna, thanks for being my guest today on Quilting Inside and Out. It's really been an informative interview, and I just thank you so much for being here. We'll see you again, I think, soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it, and I've enjoyed being here.
Well, thank you again. Our next guest is Madeline Gieselman of Cape Girardeau, Missouri, who has invited me to the Missouri State Quilt Guild for field taping, do an interview, and actually we'll visit and see what really takes place at a Quilt Guild retreat. That's the MSQG retreat in Jefferson City this weekend. So that's all next, so stay with us. We'll be right back with Madeline Gieselman. Welcome, everyone, to Quilting Inside and Out, field taping here in Jefferson City, Missouri. As promised, I have with me Miss Madeline Gieselman of the River City, I would call it, which would be Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Madeline is an avid quilter and a lot of experience, a lot of energies put into the world of quilting. So I want to welcome, if you will, with me, welcome Madeline Gieselman.
Thank you, Rick. It's nice to be here.
Yes. Can you tell us a little bit about Madeline?
Well, I was born in Southern California, grew up there, and my parents moved us to the Midwest, and I became a Midwesterner. And that was not easy because I didn't know anything about biscuits and gravy, grits, what you do to go to a funeral and take food to the people. I had no clue. But after that many years, I'm a true Midwesterner, and I learned to quilt. My grandmother, I didn't have a grandmother that talked about quilting, so I really didn't know anything about it until I came to the Midwest, and I got hooked.
And you learned to quilt by some experience, I believe. You shared with me earlier a lady that you worked with, an OR, I believe it was.
Yes, the OR supervisor where I worked. We were dear friends and did a lot together, and at one point she said she wanted to take a quilting class. I said, okay, and so we went, and it was before rotary cutters, cutting mats, rulers. It was making the templates, drawing around the fabric, cutting them out, sewing them together by hand, and I told her I really didn't think I liked that. That was in the 70s. We moved to Cape Girardeau in the late 80s, and by then I was getting a little more interested and took an actual quilting class, and I was hooked.
So you're hooked, and now your quilt work, I've seen in many shows as I travel around the state. It speaks well of your talents. And not only does she have the talent to do quilting, but organizing, planning, programming, as she has filled different chairs within the local River Heritage Quilt Guild, and now at the Missouri State Quilters Guild Retreat here in Jefferson City. Tell us a little bit about how this all came about, as far as getting involved, and what that involvement includes.
In Cape Girardeau, I joined the local guild in the early 90s, and I'm just kind of a joiner. If I join something, I want to be totally involved, 100% involved. And in that guild, the local guild, I was president a couple of times, and we started a retreat down there that 80 ladies go to every year now at Kentucky Lake. I jumped into the quilt show, and I've been the quilt show chairman for 20 years. And a friend of mine took me to a retreat at the state level, Missouri State Quilters Guild. I believe we were at Lake of the Ozarks at the time. And it was awe-inspiring. You get more from the state guild than you do from your local guild, because they have so many more resources that a local guild, well, they can't afford it. So I kind of got hooked, and I've been coming to the state guild.
And that involves a lot of people from all over Missouri.
That's
A great time with Madeline and seeing some of the favorite quilts at the Missouri Quilt Guild retreat, and just how busy the ladies were at the retreat with all the activities and presentations, etc. My sincere thanks goes out to Madeline Gieselman of River Heritage Quilt Guild, the Missouri State Quilt Guild, Madeline being from the beautiful city of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. And now the scoop on the world of quilting. The quilt show season is just about over, as you know, at least from what has been reported to me. But there are more in the planning, so stay tuned. As I receive the latest scoop for the future, I will be keeping you posted. Thus far, we have the Prairie Pine Quilt Guild of Mexico, Missouri. They will be hosting their Quilt Guild next spring, April 5th, 6th, and 7th in Mexico, Missouri. Please contact me, Rick Jey, at 573-645-4507 or Rooster Creek Company at 573-649, that's 649-4789. And give us the scoop on what's going on in your world of quilting, or what's going on with your quilt guild, or the next quilt show that you have planned. We're dedicated to the effort of getting the scoop out to our viewers here on Quilting Inside and Out. Thank you, JCTV producer Gloria Enlow and the JCTV Access staff and crew. And I thank you, our viewers, for joining us once again here on JCTV. Look for more Quilting Inside and Out, where you get the scoop on the world of quilting. It's all right here at JCTV Access. And don't forget YouTube. I'm Rick Jey saying, see you next time.